What's up, everybody? I'm going to go through, take a look at the college football playoff betting odds. FanDuel, I have their odds up right now. Um, these numbers are all pretty similar across the board, but wanted to kind of give a futures update and just how getting into the playoff looks. This is just going to strictly be the playoff markets. I'm not going to be diving into conference or Heisman or win totals or any of that. So, just think it's something that I don't think people have a great grasp on. I don't think there's too many people. There's not too many sources out there that are giving opinions on how the playoff is going to be selected. And honestly, we don't know. We don't know how the committee is going to rank teams. If it's going to be very similar to how they rank teams in the 14 playoff, how that's going to go down, I guess we'll find out in 3-4 weeks, as today October 9th is when I'm recording this. So yeah, just going to give my thoughts. You can check my work over at The Athletic, or my Twitter. You can follow me at AMOC419. That's all my socials where you can find me. I post every week my projected college football playoff odds. You can find odds to make the playoff, projected record, projections to win the conference, projections to win the national title, as well as, which I think is pretty cool, projection to get a home playoff game. I know that's going to be pretty important to a lot of fans throughout there, because that's probably what I'm most excited for with this playoff is the first round game. Those 4 games are going to be just incredible atmospheres on college campuses for the first time. So that'll be a good thing to check out. And so that's all over at The Athletic. Follow me, search for me on there. You can find, we have a projected bracket for the 12 team. We have teams on the bubble. We've got it all over there, derived from my college football projection model. So, yeah, so let's get into it. Ohio State is your favorite here at 1,600, or minus 1,600. That, I think, is, like, technically I'm showing a little bit of value there. The way that their schedule works out here is pretty good. Yeah. Obviously, the big game against Penn State, or Oregon this weekend. They have Penn State later. Nebraska sandwich in there, but there's a bye leading up to that, so I'm not worried about that. Purdue is should be an easy win. Northwestern should be an easy win. The Indiana game is like a sneaky, tricky one. That game's at home. It'd be a little bit more interesting if it was on the road, but that is the week before Michigan. If you don't think Ohio State's going to care about the Michigan game because Michigan's down this year, I think you're nuts. But yeah, they are. They absolutely need to win that game. You can't go in there at 11-0 and lose at home to a Michigan team, even if Jack Tuttle does give a little bit of surprise, little bit of a boost there. Most likely record for me is 11-1. So yeah, I have them making the playoff 96% of the time. 1,600 comes out to about 94. Yeah, I'm not in the business of laying that, but I think that's pretty correct. 11. Texas at minus 1,100 is next. I think that's pretty much right on market. I have it 91%. Again, kind of a similar thing here with Texas in that Oklahoma not being good is a relief for them. That makes their schedule much easier, as they did, upset. What the heck am I doing here? Screwing up all over the place. Texas, Quinn Ewers is going to be back here. Obviously they destroyed Michigan. To this point, though, they haven't really played anybody else. UM Monroe, I guess, is some of it again, not on the level. Big game is next week against Georgia. They should handle Oklahoma. They're 2-touchdown favorite in that game. But they should handle themselves against Oklahoma here. But you never know. Rivalry game, things can get weird. But home against Georgia, then going to Vanderbilt the next week. Obviously, we just saw what Vanderbilt did to Alabama, so I don't want to that's a game they should win. But after that, like home against Florida should be a win. Again, Arkansas, any game in the SEC can really kind of be a trip if you're not fully ready there. But home against Kentucky and then at A&M could be interesting as well. Again, projected record comes out to 11-1, or most likely record comes out to 11-1. Would be kind of shocked if they lost to Georgia and lost another game because they've been so dominant this year. But yeah, I think they're priced pretty appropriately there. Oregon minus 800. I tweeted out last week. I have Oregon futures. Price did I get on them? 300, I think, minus 300. Oregon's actually been a little bit disappointing, and yeah, I had minus 300 for 3/4 risk there. They've kind of been disappointing so far. Haven't looked like they've figured it all out yet, which is concerning for me. But the way that it's broken, everybody has losses. Everybody but Texas has a loss in the SEC. That's how things got to go here. So you're looking at 88 implied percent, 89. I have Oregon at 88%. I think that number is pretty good there. Obviously, the game against Ohio State is going to be, if they win, they're not automatically in, obviously, because anything can happen. But if they win, their odds are going to go way up here. At Purdue should be an easy win. That cross-country travel stuff. Home against Illinois, I don't think Illinois is as good as what people are making them out to be. At Michigan could get tough just because, again, you're going across the two time zones, and if Michigan's offense is to hit any bit of a stride, that could be a game that they get tripped up. But like home against Maryland should be an easy one, and at Wisconsin, that can be tricky as well. But again, do I see them losing 3 of those games? Because I think if they beat Ohio State, they're going to be in at 10-2. Because there's just not that many teams that are going to make it to there. They're not going to get to the 10-2 mark. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams that are most likely to be double-digit wins this year. I think if I remember back to the preseason win totals, I think there was 6 or 7 teams that were at 10, and that's, I think, about on par for what we're going to be with how the SEC's already kind of beating each other up here. So, yeah, Oregon is, I think, pretty much in. It gets a little dicey if they were to drop the Michigan game. The at Wisconsin, home against Washington games could be a little bit dicey. I don't know how 9-3 works out for them, just because they the poor showing against Idaho. 9-3 probably doesn't end well for them. Alabama, off of their loss last week, drops to minus 500. That's about 86%. I have them at 83. Listen, sure, there was I was on a call this week. People talking about that game mattered so much, and it did. They were 94%. I had them last week. Let's see here. Yeah, I had them 94% after they beat Georgia. They dropped down to 83. That matters, obviously. But I'm not a huge fan of Tennessee. We'll get to them in a bit. They at home against South Carolina, I feel pretty good. I have a lot of faith in Kalen DeBoer. But home against Missouri, I'm not super high in Missouri. We've kind of seen some lackluster results from Missouri this year. At LSU could get tough, but I'm not at Oklahoma. I'm not really too worried about. I'm not worried about Auburn. So, I think they could drop the Tennessee game and still look pretty good. Now, if they drop the Tennessee game, things are going to get weird because that's 2 losses. They can probably, I'm not going to say they're a lock at 9-3, but they're one of the teams. I think the SEC has the path, if you're an SEC team, to get in with 3 losses. So they are, I don't think they're out if they lose 3 games or lose 2 more. But yeah, they I think they're still in a good shot. I have them at 83%. Market has them higher than that. So let me see what their 2-way odds. So yeah, plus 340 on the on the no side. If you're interested in that, that's at 22%, 23%. So about where my yeah, like if I want to bet some numbers there. Is there value on the no at that price? Yeah. Or no, sorry, there's not. I have 17. No, there's not. Um, I think if anything, you're just juiced out here because again, I think the way the schedule breaks here is pretty good. Now, let me go to Vanderbilt real quick. This is something that really hasn't been talked about. This is more in college basketball a little bit, but they need Vanderbilt to keep winning. Vanderbilt's 3-2. At Kentucky's a very winnable game. Now, I don't love that matchup just because it's coming off of the big win, but they do get Ball State and then home against Texas. They probably need, or they don't need, but like you probably want them to get a win against Ball State, get one of Auburn and South Carolina here. That gets you to 5. You probably want to get the bowl eligible here. If you're Vandy, or if you're Alabama, you want them to get the bowl eligible. So I don't think it's something that you're really think it's going to happen very often here. But if you can get them to bowl eligible, then I think you're feeling pretty good about where you stand there. So, but yeah, you are now Alabama. You are now Vanderbilt fans, just in case you do drop 2 more games. But I'm a believer in Kalen DeBoer. I think you're going to be fine there. Georgia also at -500. I also have them at 83%. I think they're good. Georgia's a team that I think, like, for sure, 9-3. It's not for sure they're going to be in, but their schedule is good enough, and they have, just like Alabama's now a Vanderbilt fan, they are Clemson fans as well, and obviously Alabama fans. But they blew the doors off Clemson, so you're going to root for Clemson to do well, which Clemson has kind of turned the season around now. So that's looking better for them. But Mississippi State's going to be a win. Obviously, then 2 weeks from now, the game against Texas is pretty big. Home against Florida should be a win. At Ole Miss, again, I'm not huge on like Ole Miss being able to beat a Georgia caliber team, but it is on the road. That is a tough game. But again, Tennessee at home. Do I think Tennessee, with their offense and the state of it right now, are they able to go on the road and beat Georgia? That seems pretty unrealistic. And then they end the season with Massachusetts and Georgia Tech. So even if you get in 3 wins, lose the Texas game, and lose one of the Ole Miss and Tennessee, I think you're fine because you're going to lose to probably 3 playoff teams, and you're beating either a playoff team in Clemson or a fringe playoff team in Clemson. I think you probably get in there, depending on how the games go. If you get blown out in the other 2 games, that probably obviously hurts your case. But with, again, that resume, you're going to get in. So I'm not going to lose too much sleep there. Miami at -290. This is where we start getting a little interesting. I think we're getting into the area where there's some value in my mind. 290 is implying a 74% chance. I have Miami at 89%. I am not even super high on them from like a power rating. Like my model is not like thinking they're like a top 5 team or anything. Yes, they should have lost to Cal. I was stunned. I did not stay up for that game. I was stunned that they found a way to win that game. I guess you could say that they're Florida fans, but now you can say that they were lucky against Virginia Tech. You can say they're lucky against Cal. That's fine. They get a bye. They go to Louisville. Is that a game that I think they are going to, easily lose that game? No, I don't think so at all. Florida State's not good. It's a rivalry game, so sure. But, I don't think Duke can beat them. At Georgia Tech could get weird. I don't think Wake Forest will beat them. At Syracuse could get weird. But I think we're at the point now where, 10-2 probably gets you in. I really do. So I wonder where we're at. 9-3, I think they're out for sure. But I don't think Florida State beats them. I don't think Duke beats them. Wake Forest. So they have to win one of Louisville, Georgia Tech, one of the road games remaining. And I think I don't want to say they're in for sure, but I think they're probably in. I don't know when I'll take some futures positions, but I might start adding to the portfolio soon. Might be this week, might not. But if you want to grab some Miami at minus 290, I think you're fine there. I'm not gonna lose sleep on that because I think they're in at 10-2. I think we're overvaluing. How many teams are in there. Teams are going to be left at the 10-2 mark because we already have, undefeated teams left: Ohio State, Texas, Miami, Penn State, Oregon, Indiana, Iowa State. That's it. Before you get into some group of 5 teams there. So yeah, it's not great here. So Miami at minus 290. I think there's some value. I know it's painful laying the chalk there, but I think we're at the point now where they're probably good. Again, the key thing here, if we are under the assumption that they're going to rank teams like they have in the past, is winning games. And this is why Indiana's on the bubble. I have them as the second team out. This is why Iowa State's on the bubble, because if you go 11-1, you're going to be in. 10-2 most likely is going to get you in as well. 9-3 is really where you probably have to be an SEC team to get in 9-3. So 10-2 Miami, I guess they'll have a conference championship game in there as well, most likely. Although I will say there's some scenarios where I don't think SMU or Clemson, they don't play Miami, and I don't think SMU and Clemson play each other either. So there is like a weird 3-way tie possibility there. But I think 10-2. If you make it to 10-2 as a Power 4, I think you're going to be in, and unless the Big 12 just goes off the rails here. So similarly, our next team, Penn State on the board, minus 250. I am of the belief that it's not a guarantee, obviously, but you look at the schedule, they are 5-0. They travel to USC. That's obviously a game that they can lose. They go to Wisconsin. I'm pretty confident they can win that game. They host Ohio State. They host Washington. At Purdue, at Minnesota, host Maryland. I think Wisconsin. I don't think Wisconsin has a chance to beat them here. I apologize for if I talk slow. I'm trying to order some food here, but I don't think Wisconsin can stand to them. I don't think Purdue can stand to them. I don't think Maryland can stand to them. So we're sitting at 8-0. I'm going to assume those are some wins. And Washington, that's the whiteout game. It's not known yet whether that is going to be a 3:30 or a 7:30 game. It will not be a noon game. I don't think Washington is going to be able to go across the country and win in Beaver Stadium. Just don't think that's in the cards for them. I do think if there is the game, say they were to lose this weekend at USC and lose against Ohio State, then obviously I don't think Penn State gets in with 3 losses unless all chaos breaks out. I've talked about that multiple times already about the 9-3 team probably only coming from the SEC here. But I think the Minnesota game can be tricky just because it's super late in the year. It could be cold or probably will be cold. I just don't love Minnesota's off a bye. Penn State's on back-to-back road travel. It's the end of the year. They would be playing 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 5th straight game. They're banged up because they have their bye after USC here, and they've already had their bye in week 3. So that's kind of one of those scheduling quirks that I don't think worked out for them. Even though I think they got a lighter Big Ten schedule, but yeah, I think that's the trickiest game on the schedule outside of at USC and home. I think at Minnesota is more tricky than Washington, but they are minus 250 to make the playoff. I tweeted this last week. If you follow me on Twitter, on X, the 250 price is a 71%. I have Penn State at 87%. I think they're good. I think they are a team that you can bet on. I would bet 250. The reason I'm not adding right now is, again, I think there's a chance that they can lose the game here over the next 3-4. I bet them minus 140 before the year. last week they were minus 196. So they were minus 196. I had them at 80% last week, heading into the week. So I think they're a team. Again, I went through the schedule. I think, they can lose at USC. They can lose Ohio State. They're going to be probably double-digit favorites in every other game, or at least close to it, at Wisconsin and home against Washington, and at Minnesota might get a little dicey. I don't have my numbers in front of me. But, I think Penn State at minus 250, that would be added to the portfolio if I didn't already have a price. I'll probably, to get involved with them, I'll probably wait a little bit here to see if they do drop either this week or the Ohio State game to kind of see what the prices come out to there. So, next on the list, now we're into the coin flips. Like I said this in the Pulse for the Athletic. I think those 7 teams are kind of, I don't want to say locks, but they're up there for me. Because I have all of those teams: Ohio State, Texas, Miami, Oregon, Penn State, Georgia, Alabama. I have them all at 83% or higher. The next team on the list, which is also what FanDuel has here at minus 130, Ole Miss. Ole Miss. I don't. They're tough. They're tough to deal with. I don't know if I trust them. I don't know if I didn't love their roster heading into the year. Or sorry, let me rephrase this. I like the pieces they added in the transfer portal. I just don't know if I'm fully of the belief that Ole Miss is a national title contender. And I think we kind of saw that in their game against Kentucky. They've kind of been underwhelming. I don't want to say they're underwhelming at South Carolina, but they're just not like I just don't love their team. Like a huge game for like I don't want to say they have to win. It's not a must win, but it's pretty close. With Georgia still on the schedule, I think home against Oklahoma could be tough for them. At Arkansas, I think could be a game they could lose. I wouldn't be shocked if they lost at Florida. I just don't have them in that same tier as the other teams. But that being said, the schedule does work out pretty well for them. 9-3, they're probably not in, so they can drop one more, and Georgia still is on the schedule, so that makes things tough. But I'm not gonna buy in here. Like I said, I have a slight edge there, but I'm not buying in. I don't love what they have as a team, and going to LSU, it's a night game. No thanks. I think I'm a believer in the buy low spot. I don't know what they were priced after Kentucky. Their loss to Kentucky, that would have been a better spot to get in. I'd much rather wait until see what they're priced at after the LSU game. Because here's the thing. Even if they win, their schedule is not exactly easy the rest of the way out. So I think it's one of those situations where like they're not going to go up to like minus 300 or anything like that if they were to win against LSU this weekend. But I'm happy. They're a team I might target after this week to see what their price goes down to. I don't want to really be laying with minus 130 with the Lane Kiffin team with 5 games left on the schedule. Yeah, no thanks on that. So yeah, so that's where I'm at. Notre Dame. All right. Notre Dame, they're tough. They have probably the worst loss ever in the college football playoff era with their home loss to Northern Illinois. Similarly to Alabama being a Vanderbilt fan, they are if you're a Notre Dame fan, you have a Notre Dame ticket, whatever. You have to be rooting for Northern Illinois the rest of the year. It's just how it goes. I don't know how much the committee is going to like fault them for this. I don't know if it counts as like 2 losses. I don't know if it counts as 1.5, kind of however you want to put it. I don't know. Minus 120 to make the playoff right now. I have them at 53%, so pretty much right on market there. Home against Stanford, home against Georgia Tech. Or sorry, neutral game against Georgia Tech. I forget I don't remember where that game's being played. Neutral game against Navy. They have all these neutral games. I forgot they have I think they had 3 true road games this year. Home against Florida State, home against Virginia, home against no road games during this stretch until USC at the end of the year. Now that USC game is going to be tough for them. They do kind of luck out in the sense that Florida State is not what we projected them to be in the beginning of the year. Even when they lost Northern Illinois in week 2, I think everybody kind of expected Florida State to bounce back or at least be a tough matchup for them. But that now looks like a pretty easy win for them. So yeah, Stanford, Georgia Tech. Navy and Army are actually pretty solid. So I'm not going to sit here and say that those are guaranteed wins. This is the first team that I'm unsure of 10-2 getting in because of the loss to Northern Illinois. So I'm kind of holding out here. I have them right on market. If I had to guess, I'm probably a little high. My playoff algorithm does factor in your resume and strength of record and all of those things. So it is they are getting punished for the Northern Illinois loss. This isn't strictly just ranking by wins and losses, but the problem is Northern Illinois is 3-2. They lost in overtime to Buffalo, and they lost at NC State. They need NC if they were 5-0, I think Northern Illinois is looking all right. But now they have a tough game against Bowling Green. They got to go with Toledo. Notre Dame, you want Northern Illinois to win the MAC. You need that. So on market for them, nothing I want to do. They're kind of a team that I'm going to need a bigger size edge than I usually get to make a bet. I'm going to need a bigger edge on them because I there's a little bit of uncertainty with what the committee might do with them, depending on how things work. Now, I will say, this is borderline reality TV show. Notre Dame, dollar signs, that is a thing there. So part of me wonders how much they're really going to get hurt by that loss. But if you told me 10-2, Notre Dame's out, I wouldn't be shocked because of how bad that loss is. Clemson, next team on the list, -115. Team that I thought was dead in the water after the loss to Georgia. They looked like they had no idea how to play offense. They've kind of turned it around. I don't think App State's very good. I don't think NC State's very good. I don't think Florida State's very good either. Their Stanford win was solid. I'll give them that. Schedule is pretty easy. They benefit. I thought before the year that Clemson at Virginia Tech on November 9th was going to be game of the year type of stuff, playoff game implications. Virginia Tech kind of let me down in that sense. But yeah, Louisville has not looked great lately. Virginia Tech has not looked good all year. At Pitt, sneaky big game there. I think that could be tough. Pitt's been playing pretty well. Think we could see that game be a little dicey. Pitt is undefeated. You want to talk about a team that can make a run here. Pitt, we'll get into that. But yeah, Clemson -115. I have them at 48%, so nothing there. I would actually be, it's not going to be a huge edge here. Yeah, okay, so -113 in the yes-no market. Just point yourself. Don't bet this. Do not bet this. Go down here, scroll down. Take the yes -113. Save yourself 2 cents. I hope that goes without saying, but always check if there's a yes/no market. Sometimes you get some better pricing there as well. Tennessee's at +110. Man, I've been pretty low on Tennessee. They're -140. I have a slight edge on the -140 no for Tennessee to make the playoff. I just, the offense isn't quite there. I think their defense is pretty good. But yeah, the offense just isn't there for me. Looking at their schedule here, let me pull it up for you. I think, yeah, I mean, they should win the game against Florida, but with Alabama and Georgia, I don't think they get in with 9-3. I don't think they're out of conference because NC State has looked pretty bad. Their win against Oklahoma, they need Oklahoma and Arkansas to look pretty good because that's what they can hang their hat on. Game at Vanderbilt at the end of the year would be tough, rivalry game. I think they'll be fine against Florida and Kentucky. Obviously, I think Mississippi State and UTEP will be good there, but probably need to win one of Alabama and at Georgia. And I think you're looking pretty good there. But you still have the game against, they could lose to Alabama and then they could beat Georgia and then lose to Vanderbilt, and things are tough there. So, sorry, ordering food again. So, I don't think they're a team at 9-3 that gets in. So, we probably need to see an Alabama Georgia victory to feel pretty good, because 10-2 is you're in. I think I firmly believe. So I just don't know if they have the offense to get there, which is kind of surprising. Like, Nika looked good, but again, we've seen what NC State has become. Their defense is terrible. They played Oklahoma, who has a pretty good defense, couldn't score. Arkansas couldn't score. Some concerns. That's the other thing. UTEP's not very good either. You talk about strength of schedule. Now, they're an SEC team, but Kent State is a middle-of-the-road FCS team. They absolutely destroyed them. I think they scored like 66 in the first half, if I remember correctly. Chattanooga is an FCS team. UTEP's not very good either, so that is hurting their strength of schedule. So I think if you're a Tennessee fan, you need Alabama or Georgia. You need one of those games to get a dub there. So, but yeah, a little bit of an edge. Again, I'm not looking to really bet a 2% edge on Tennessee on a no. Definitely when I think they can win this weekend. And Penn State is a tough game. You get all these things. Like, don't rush into it. Definitely gets a game. Try to get them off a low spot, which they are right now. Like, right, Tennessee just lost, but I want a little bit more of a spread there. So, Group of 5 team, Boise, plus 125 to make it. I don't think that's a good price. I've been pretty high on Boise all year. They've been my 12 seed, projected 12 seed for the whole season. The thing with Boise, they have a yes, no on them. They don't. No thanks on this price. This is not good. I have them at 34%. This is like what I would make them to win the Mountain West. You have UNLV, who's looked pretty good. You still have Liberty. I don't think Liberty is really like a threat to make it. UNLV can be a threat. Tulane can be a threat. You got Army Navy being threats as well. So yeah, I don't care to get Boise at that price. Definitely could have got better prices at the beginning of the year, but Texas A&M at plus 140 is I think that's overpriced at oh man, minus 180. So I have them at 33%. So I make them 200, right? Minus 200 is my true price. And so, again, small edge on the no here. Texas A&M, this is kind of like a buy low spot, if you will. Or sorry, yeah, sell high spot. They looked horrific all year. And I'll say this is a team, I don't care to bet them this week. They play at Mississippi State in 2 weeks. They're off this week. They play at Mississippi State. They should win that game. This is one where I might be targeting them before their LSU game. See what chaos comes over the next 2 weeks. Maybe their price goes up. Maybe we can get like a no minus 150 without their price moving too much. But I think that's a little steep. Little short, I should say, on the no price. There. So that's a team that I'll be targeting to fade. They have, they're 5-1. They're 3-0 in the SEC. They play at Mississippi State. Let me pull it up. I didn't pull it up for you guys. At Mississippi State, home against LSU, at South Carolina, home against New Mexico State, at Auburn. Finish the year with a home game against Texas. They could make the SEC championship game. There's a path. I'm just not going to sit here and tell myself after, maybe Weigman's healthy, maybe he can play to his first round potential. But I think we're going to be peaking here for a home game against LSU. I'll be looking for this like LSU South Carolina sequence here to possibly definitely if they beat LSU, I think they'll probably be overpriced to where I think you can get a no price because I think they could lose to South Carolina, Auburn, and or Texas. Like, wouldn't shock me if they lost all 3 of those games. But I think they could definitely lose 2 out of 3. So I'll be looking to target them later in the month. So nothing for me right now at the current price. So who else we got? Who else is Iowa State at plus 150? No thanks. We have a no on them. No. I think they're overvalued. I make them right now 26%. SMU at plus 220. I was high on SMU, and then they were really bad to start the year, and they've come on late. Again, I would be interested if there's no prices out there. I'd probably be interested in a no. But this is the tough part about when you don't offer a no, they can juice that up a little bit and have some fun. Kansas State at plus 230. I don't love that either. We have yes, no on them. We do. Minus 310. No, it's priced pretty much on market there. Don't care to get involved there. LSU at plus 250. Yeah. The 340 price. I think there's value on that. The problem is, I don't know if I really want to lay that. I would be interested if I'd be interested in Ole Miss or sorry LSU if no price if they beat Ole Miss. I'll be interested in the no price on LSU. Just not an easy schedule. They got they still have Ole Miss at Arkansas, sandwiched between a home game against Ole Miss and a road trip to Texas A&M. They get the bye week before hosting Alabama, sure, but then you got to follow that up with at Florida. Then they do host Vanderbilt and Oklahoma at the end of the year, but I don't love the I don't love this stretch. If we look back, they could have very easily lost to South Carolina. They struggled with UCLA for a half. Obviously, they lost to USC. We see how that's aged. I think their offense is pretty good. I don't think the defense is where we need it to be yet. So, rooting for an Ole Miss loss. I want an LSU win, and then I think we are going to get a pretty favorable price on a no to make the playoff here for LSU. So, that's what I'll be targeting for them because I think 340 is value here, but I'm not going to bet that. If they here's the thing: if they lose, I whatever. I didn't bet a 340. Cool. I didn't have to waste that. Utah plus 310, the most excruciating team on here. I think that has value. I'm not betting it because I don't know what to do with Cam Rising. I don't know what you do. That's putting them at what 24% to make the playoff. That implied number. I have it at 32. You just can't trust if Cam Rising's healthy. Week to week at this point. But if you do think he's healthy, I think plus 310 is a fine bet. Let's see who they play here. Again, I think a lot of this comes down to entering the market at a good spot. Oh yeah, they play Arizona State. I think pretty good shot to win that game. Home against DC. They're gonna get some wins here. I think. Now if they were to lose, if they lose on Friday, you're probably. Here's the thing. If they lose on Friday and Rising's healthy, I think it's a buy on them. And I think you're still going to be fine if you get a buy either way. You're going to get a buy price on them if they win or lose in this game. So I don't really care to buy too much. I don't think people respect Arizona State all that much, so the win might not do much to their price. But yeah, I don't think TCU's all that good. I don't think Houston's all that good. I think BYU's overpriced in the market right now. Colorado's playing better, but UCF looks messed up. So, yeah, I think we can. I think I'm fine waiting, but if you do go ahead and get that 310, I think it has value. Indiana at 350. 22%. I think. This is probably gonna be the last team that I really talk about. Just scanning for any long shots there. Yeah, probably the last team I'm going to talk about. If you want to, I'll finish up with Indiana here. If you want to dart on like USC, I think they have value there, but I question their depth for the rest of the year. But yeah, they're a dart that would like kind of interest me. Everybody else down there, um, Pitt's kind of interesting as well. They're down there, but yeah, I'm not gonna get too much into the long shots right now. But Indiana, they are plus 350. Now here's the problem with Indiana. I think we're at like the peak, but I think this number is value. I think you wait here. They're on a bye, so like it shouldn't change too much. They host Nebraska. They host Washington. They go to Michigan State, and then they host the big games are Michigan and Ohio State. If they are able to win against Nebraska, Washington, and Michigan State, I think they're going to make the playoff. Because I think they have a chance to beat Michigan. I don't think they'll beat Ohio State. I think they'll lose, but I think they'll lose Ohio State. The game's on the road, but I think they can very easily beat Michigan. If they go Nebraska, Washington, at Michigan State, home against Michigan, 3-1, I think they're good. Now the thing is, I don't know if 10-2 if they go penalized because their out of conference wasn't great. FIU, Western Illinois, Charlotte, and now they are going to get Michigan and Ohio State, but they need Nebraska to keep winning. They need Washington to keep winning. If they go 3-1 against Nebraska, Washington, Michigan State, Michigan, they are going to be in. I think this team's good. Like, they're smoking teams. This is what you're supposed to do. Maryland's like, I'm not sitting here saying that Indiana's a top like 15 team or anything like that. But again, I think wins are going to be where it's at here. They are a team. I kind of hope they get a loss here against like Nebraska or Washington, and then they might be a bye spot. We need to kind of see one of the things with them is we need to see how Michigan looks with Jack Tuttle. But yeah, so I think they might be a bye spot. Michigan is at 30-1. I'll talk about them just because people are interested in them. That's 3%, 3.2. I have them at 2%. I think it's about right. Schedule's still tough. Like, no thanks on Michigan, really. I'll just quickly go over. I do think Jack Tuttle could be an upgrade for them, but like I think their defense is kind of a mess. They've been banged up too, but like at Illinois they're on a bye this week. At Illinois, not an easy win for them. Home against Michigan State, I don't know if that's even an easy win for them. Home against Oregon, that'll be an uphill battle. At Indiana is going to be a dogfight. Should beat Northwestern, and then at Ohio State would be shocking if they won that game. So I think the most likely record here is 7-5. If you see an increase from Tuttle, then my interest in Indiana probably goes down, but no real interest in Michigan here. There's a path, but they're not getting in at 9-3. Pretty simple. They're not getting in at 9-3, and I don't think they can beat Ohio State. I think I don't think they scored against Ohio State in the current state of their offense. So, yeah. They even have a no price up for them? No, they're not even involved. So, yeah, went through. So that's it. Just want to talk quickly. 45 minutes or so. Just want to go through the market. That's how I see it as it stands. Obviously week to week, everything can change. Don't rush into it. You're going to have a lot of opportunities. It's going to be a chaotic, last 6-7 weeks here. Or I guess it's like 7-8, right? Yeah, like last 7 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it is. A lot of teams are going to lose. That's why I'm not like super in a rush to bet Miami or Penn State again. But I think they have a ton of value. And I just wonder, kind of like last week, Penn State was minus 196. They beat a team as a 28-point favorite, and their odds, jumped up, 5% there. So, yeah. So yeah, I'm not rushing into it, but I do think I gave out my thoughts there. I think those top 7 teams are kind of locked in, and then it gets really interesting with a bunch of coin flips with Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Clemson, Tennessee, And again, I think Indiana, they're going to team. I don't know if I love their pricing right now, but they're a team that I think can definitely kind of wreck the playoff here. So, yeah, that's it for the pre-week 7 college football playoff update. Again, check out my work at The Athletic. You can see all the projections that I have. You can make your own kind of dive into it and make your own decisions on who you think has value and whatnot. But if I had to advise, just you don't need, but try to buy low. Try to get in when teams are on the low spot. Don't jump in. Don't jump in on Indiana right now. Just because I don't know if the price. Again, I think there's value on the number, but you can probably get a more advantageous price. I don't think Indiana's going to keep winning forever and ever and ever. They probably, if they lose to Michigan, you might see a better price than plus 350. So no rush there. So yeah, as always, AMOC419 on X, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you want to follow on. I mostly only post on X and Twitter. My stuff over on The Athletic. We have the NFL. Same thing for the NFL. We have the playoff projection tool. Everything there. Super Bowl odds, playoff odds, everything for the NFL. We have that for college. And yeah, so into the thick of things here, mid-October. Enjoy the great week of college football that we're about to have. And I'll try to do this again next week after this week's chaos. So until then, good luck to y'all. Good luck to myself. And hope you guys enjoy the weekend. And yeah, we'll be back next week. Have a good one.